Let's say I've chosen the song, Nick. It's this one.
This is our anthem, our theme song.
It's the Champions League style song for us.
Turn it up.
All right, all right. It's going up, it's going up. Pumping it up, pump it up. DJ Luis on the 1 2. Real fast. Applauding us, but I don't know if it's gonna work out for us.
I didn't hear a single word of that, but it was awesome. That's the danger of turning up the music.
I was complete. Only a few might hear it. They'll have to go back to it. They'll have to go back to it.
If only I knew how to like actually edit audio and turn the sounds down. Ugh, I don't have the time for that. How are you doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Hey, I'm losing it. I'm losing it, Nick.
Me too. Me too. Have you felt like ever since the daylight savings time began? It's like 2 weeks ago. I still haven't been the same since.
Yeah.
Like yesterday, I'm making coffee and I like make it in like a French press sort of style, right? And I set a timer so that the coffee would steep, and I go and I start doing something else, making breakfast or whatever, and the timer goes off. In my mind, I'm like, oh, time to do something with this coffee. I end up taking the plunger out. So, a French press, you're supposed to plunge it down. I start taking the plunger out and I start pouring coffee grounds and coffee, like proper coffee, into the cup. Like I forgot to plunge. Who does this? Who sets a timer for themselves knowing, okay, at the end of the 3 minutes, I'm to plunge this coffee, and then just like completely takes it out and just forgets what coffee even is. This is what's been happening to me. It's not, am I okay? Are we okay?
Yeah, I wonder because I feel like I'm losing. Everything's getting to me. Like I feel like the time change happened and like all the gains I did mentally to like be calm and centered have just
Mhm.
left me. But I do have a similar story, but it's daytime savings related with French press. It was the first time I ever had a French press. I was sad to say I was in my 20s and I had never had a French press. And I went to a local coffee shop, a cool little loud, black, grungy little punk rock coffee shop in
Mhm.
Orlando on Park Ave. And um, and I was like, oh, French, I'm into France. I want to know what that is. And so then they give you the whole little press thing. And
Mhm.
I didn't press it down. So I'm like
Mhm.
pouring the coffee, but with all the gunk, and I'm like, oh, this is people drink. This is what French bread is. They so needless to say, once you know, I think we're losing it. I do think we got to stop with this daytime savings or whatever it is this time around. I don't know if it's daylight. Is it always daylight savings time? Is that what it's always called each time we change it?
So when we go forward an hour, that's the start of daylight savings. And then when it ends in November or sometime around then, you end daylight savings time. And yet there's still daylight. So what have we done? What are we saving?
Hmm.
And
I don't
1 hour of extra daylight in the evenings is nice because it was getting really dark around 4 or 5 p.m., obviously in the winter. And that's tough whenever you log off from work and it's pitch black outside. So I do appreciate the additional hour, I guess, that we've gotten in the early evening, some extra daylight. So, but then in the mornings, I'm just like not, I'm a zombie.
man, daylight savings time. I feel like it's
Somebody can
just
explain any like one benefit to us. Hit us up on X, Twitter, whatever it's called, and
yeah.
like explain why we've been doing this and why we continue to do this, even though I think it has to have something to do with like agriculture. Like no other field is reliant on sunlight and
Yeah.
doing things. So
Elon, figure it out. Elon, figure it out. Let us know. Add us on X
we that's
typically. How do we save this? I feel like it's a practical joke from Ben Franklin, though. He
mhm.
laughing in his grave that he created this thing and that we're still following it for whatever reason. But
Yeah, he was probably like, what if I suggest something so completely asinine and see people do it? And they did. And he knew all along. He must have known like this power move. I kind of respect him for it. I kind
this
of
is Sly
respect it. He had like
Fox.
no. This is also the same guy who didn't he like attach a key to a kite and then it got struck by lightning. Yet we turn our clocks to his whim. Why are we following this guy's lead? It's
Yeah,
crazy.
Sly Fox. Yeah, his sexcapades in France. Yeah. Anyway, this is not a history podcast.
Oh, that would be funny. But I think we have a spin-off here.
Yeah, a spin. Oh my God. What I'm reading the Plantagenets too. We could get into anyway. That might be a spin off. Oh my God. Next season two. Season two. We pivot away from sports altogether. But we're mad. We're crazy. And speaking of madness, we are now in it in March Madness. I'll show
Mhm.
you mine if you show me yours, Nick. I'll show you mine if you show me your bracket. What's your bracket? Who do you got on it?
I think we can make this work. You want me to show mine first?
Yeah, let's do it. We're gonna share screen for those in podcast. We are sharing screens. So let
Is
me
that
do.
how I show you mine? You show me yours work, and then
That's a great idea.
I feel like you should show yours first. No, it's okay. I got mine ready.
No, no, no. Oh yeah, because I said I have to show. You know what? Just go for it. Go for it.
All right. Over in the whatever region, East region. It doesn't show you the pick. Oh yeah, it does. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, you
Um,
got it on the top.
there it is. I like UConn over FAU and getting that Sweet 16 bid. FAU obviously big time Cinderella story last year. I think they will actually make this UConn game really tight. I didn't love picking UConn over FAU, which is why I ultimately picked Auburn over Connecticut, advancing from this Yale game. Um, over San Diego State. I know a lot of people probably want to see the rematch of last year's Natty, San Diego State versus Connecticut. San Diego State plays like a really defensive kind of game, which I think often does really well in the tournament, but I think Auburn just has that it factor. Moving to the bottom half of the bracket, obviously I had BYU. In an earlier iteration, I had BYU going a lot further, but I'm glad that I have my better judgment because they're such a 3-point shooting dependent team, and teams like that, if they go cold, they are not doing well. Spoiler alert about who my championship pick is there. We'll get there.
Ooh.
Um, Illinois moves on to face Auburn
Yeah,
in
Illinois is
the
solid.
Elite Eight. I like teams that actually win the Big Ten tournament. I don't really believe in other tournament winners going far, but for some reason the Big Ten tournament means something to me. Big upset in this region, Drake over Iowa State. Um, Drake playing a home game in Omaha, so that's kind of cool. So yeah, Illinois versus Auburn. I'll take Auburn going to my Final Four in the East. Move over to the West. North Carolina versus Michigan State, first round of 32. I already have the first leg of this. It's looking pretty good with North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
This was one, and again,
Nick,
I
yeah.
don't feel super confident in this Michigan State over or UNC beating Michigan State pick. For the past 3, maybe 4 seasons, a number 9 seed has made it into the Final Four. Michigan State was almost that for me. But I think if UNC beats Michigan State, this whole entire rest of the bracket is just madness. I think this region, and I'm curious to see yours. I
Yeah,
think this region might have the most different Final Four picks out of all of them.
I
Arizona, I have facing the hot pick right now. I'm just going with the flow. Everybody's picking New Mexico because they just won the Mountain West. They look really solid. I have them over Clemson, over Baylor, meeting Arizona. I thought about picking Arizona because the Final Four is in Glendale this year. And I thought, ooh, what a story. Like they get to play the Final Four close to their home turf. But no, New Mexico, North Carolina in the Elite Eight. And I go with UNC, which I think you already saw. I have going even further. Over to the Midwest. A little bit controversial here as well. I feel like Gonzaga are so underrated. Like we can't forget this team was a number one overall team
mhm.
entering the tournament last year. If it wasn't last year, maybe it was 2 years ago. I may be confusing that. Either way, super highly efficient team. They just don't have the star power that they have had in the past. But I don't think it takes star power in the tournament. I think it takes great coaching and team effort. And that's what Gonzaga has in spades. Love them to face Tennessee, who does have that star power. Dalton Connect is the real deal. And I find that however many times I like play this region out in my head, I really want Creighton to be in the Final Four. They were just like a shot away from the Final Four last year. But um, I just think that there are so many hot teams in this bracket that can take them down. I'm going to pick Oregon, who I'm repping today, Pac-12 tournament champs to keep the good vibes going. Gonzaga, Final Four pick. Oh, and Purdue. Sorry, again, I almost picked TCU to beat Purdue here. I just don't.
Not a strong number one team, huh?
I don't think so. I don't know what it is. Just have a bad feeling. I know that people are comparing them to the UVA team of 2018, who lost in the previous year as a number one seed to a 16. Purdue did that last year, but and UVA had so much luck in that tournament, to be fair. But I just don't see that happening for Purdue advancing from that bracket. Too many strong, highly efficient offensive teams. Finally, with the South, Houston, I have going all the way to the Final Four. I don't really have too much to say about this top half of the bracket. I
Right.
originally look out for JMU, folks. JMU, I originally had going all the
Hey,
way to the
shout
Elite Eight.
out AU's new president's from JMU.
I know. That didn't have any influence on it, but that was just a great team. Really, really highly efficient team. I wouldn't be surprised if they beat Duke. I just, because I'm in a bracket competition with the office, felt like I needed to spread my risk a little bit. I already had like risky picks elsewhere. So if I knew that I wasn't going to pick JMU to go further than a certain point, like why lose points? So I picked Duke, but actually I really want James Madison to win because Wake Forest's supporters are not huge Duke fans. Can I also just give a shout out to Western Kentucky? Last thing here in this bracket, and then I'll move ahead to the Final Four.
Mhm.
Western Kentucky could very well beat Marquette. I just, again, since this is a bracket competition, I have a different bracket that I made, which has this picked.
Getting
I
lucky.
didn't want to like lose points, but I think Western Kentucky and they're really like they cycle through players, play a really fast pace. Marquette's dealing with some injuries right now. I think Western Kentucky actually advances, but we're playing brackets. And if we're playing brackets and if I choose Marquette to advance, then I think that they do ultimately make it to the what is it called? The Elite Eight. The Elite Eight is just like this first matchup. This Western Kentucky is going to be a handful. But if they do advance, then I think they go all the way to the Elite Eight to be met with Houston, lose. I got Houston over Gonzaga. The ride ends there, sadly. Gonzaga, always a bridesmaid, never a bride, can never win the big chip. But I got
Oh, look at it. You got
North
lines.
Carolina over
You got
Auburn
lines.
and UNC. Gotta stay true to the ACC. You know,
Mm,
that's a hopeful pick. That's
yeah.
a really hopeful pick. I think, yeah, I think a lot of people pick UConn for really good reason. It's a great team. It's UConn versus the field. Um, but I'll take the field.
Interesting. Great. Great picks. Great picks. I feel like you got some good risk ones because it's like inevitably that's what happens.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna share mine.
You gotta insert randomness into your bracket. Like if you're just gonna pick favorites in every matchup, then you'll you'll not do as well as you can in a bracket competition.
Am I sharing my screen?
You are. You are
Do you
indeed.
see the bracket? Because this goes back to daylight savings time. I'm going crazy. I don't know which screen is being saved in my multiple screen situation. Or
Yeah, we also know like now that you are a dark mode person, and I usually am as well, but not on my laptops.
everything is dark mode. Everything I can make dark mode, I do. It's just easier on the eyes. So going here to the East Coast, UConn goes pretty far. I don't think Stetson, the Hatters are not going to pull it out here. You know, UConn's a very strong team, a true number one. I noticed that you did pick FAU over Northwestern. I actually picked Northwestern. FAU is not as strong as I think it's being ranked. I know they had a great story last year, but if you look at their play in Conference USA, or I guess now the American Athletic Conference, they
Mhm.
weren't as strong of a team as they needed to be. So I don't think they're going to replicate and go far this time around. San Diego State, of course, you know, I think they're a solid team. I see them beating UAB. And my Cinderella risk here is that I just don't believe in Auburn. You know, SEC likes to think it's a basketball conference emerging, but I look at Yale and I see a team of surprises, and I feel like they might cerebrally, all right, so using the old noggin,
Mhm.
gonna pull this one out, and it will be San Diego State over Yale. And I already got some points. I did the same thing you did. Desquain, how do you say Descain?
Duquesne. I can't believe I
Duquesne?
picked against them. That's my mom's alma mater,
Is it
but
really?
I didn't know they were for real. They can
Shout out
ball.
Mama DeMayo. Shout out Mama
Hmm.
DeMayo. Yeah, Duquesne over BYU. Just can't trust the Mormons. Um,
Maybe.
Illinois, I think is my are they Mormon? It's Mormon, right? I forget the whatever Utah is. Anyway, um, is it Mormon?
You're
It's
right. You're right. I
okay.
was gonna
Okay.
say maybe we should use different. I think they prefer LDS.
Oh, Latter-day Saints. That's true.
Yeah.
Latter-day Saints. Good for them. Illinois is not looking so good. They're starting to score points. Let's see if they can pull it out because I have Illinois going pretty far. Um,
Morehead State, sneaky pick. Sneaky
yeah,
pick.
that was a sneaky pick. I actually have
Pop
Illinois
out.
going all the way to the Final Four. So
Okay.
um, this
Wow,
could
we have
end
such a
right
different
here
bracket.
before our eyes here. But it's still a long game, a long way to go. I have Drake picking up against Washington State. I was a big fan of the Catholic schools. You're going to notice that throughout my picks. I was a big fan of the Catholic schools. Um, Iowa State, of course, Drake is not going to make it past Iowa State. And then just kind of finishing the whole East side up here. UConn over San Diego State, going into the Elite Eight, Illinois over UConn. So let's see. I might be messing that pick up as we speak, but I believe in Illinois. I think Illinois is pretty solid, and they're a sneaky team, and we'll see like a sneaky team that's got a lot of talent, right? So it's not
Mhm.
like as surprising when you really think about it, but it'll still be somewhat of a Cinderella story.
Yeah,
Um,
still early in that game too.
yeah, Houston's the real deal. I got them, bum bum bum, all the way. Okay. Houston over Nebraska. I do have Nebraska beating uh, Texas A&M. I just think they have nicer colors. I think the bright reds is going to get them. You know, it's going to shot, Texas
That's
A.
how I picked that game too, honestly. The 8 to 9 matchups, you might as well flip a coin.
Yeah, yeah. The maroon is not, it doesn't pop enough.
And the Aggies, come on, you need a more
Um,
creative team
I
there.
do have Wisconsin over James Madison like you. And I didn't know much about James Madison besides we got the president. So, um, and Duke going pretty far down to the Sweet 16 level. But I do think Houston is where they stop.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree with you there.
and Kentucky getting lucky in Kentucky. I don't think Oakland's going to put off, but that'll be a hell of a Cinderella story. So win or lose, I'm going to be happy with that game. NC State, I do have a little bit of an upset. I feel like between these numbers, sometimes it's not as big of an upset as people make it out to be. But I think NC State's going to be solid. They sort of snuck in there towards the end. They had a good run. So thinking of
Yeah.
momentum, I think NC State's going to be solid. But when they go up against the legacy of Kentucky, that's where it sort of falters. I'm a Florida fan. I've watched a few games this season. I'm a fan of how they play. Are they back? Maybe I should have picked them to go even further into the Final Four, because they can do it. They have the legacy to be able to do it, the power to be able to do it. So I did like Florida over Colorado. Of course, big fan of Marquette, so I'm gonna pick them. But I have Florida beating Marquette and
Hmm.
ultimately going to the Sweet 16. And then where they meet, Florida meets Houston, but I have Houston winning out, Houston and Illinois there. So that kind of takes care of the East and was it Southeast or South? West. Looking good so far for North Carolina. Hard to pick against them. I do think they're going to go far, all the way to the Elite Eight here. I got Michigan State. Glad I made that pick, but Izzo, Izzo,
Yep.
Izzo, H to the Izzo, to the Izzy.
I feel like they were a preseason top 5 team. I think they were number 3 in the AP preseason poll. And whenever a team makes the tournament under 20 wins, you know that the selection committee knows that they are the real deal talent wise. And with so many bid stealers this year, like NC State,
Mm-hmm.
I think it allows for like the at-large bids for the most part. Maybe you disagree about FAU, the at-large bids being like really solid. So
This is good. This is some good competition. I think some of the smaller schools might surprise us here. But St. Mary's, again, with the Catholic school trend, I have them going all the way to the Sweet 16. I love St. Mary's, but I
me
don't know
too.
if I have enough powerhouse to go against UNC. So I do ultimately
Yeah. St.
UNC.
Mary's is very similar to UVA in terms of like pace of play, and UNC's beaten UVA both times this year. So that was that was my rationale there. But I love the St. Mary's pick.
Clemson going pretty far. I do have Colgate, a little bit of upset. I don't believe in the Baylor Bears. They're another that it's a dry campus. So that was my rationale. It's like they're dry campus. So I can't we're gonna go Colgate on this one.
Little Patriot League
Colgate
love.
keeps our
Colgate's really
keeps our teeth clean, Nick. The Colgate keeps our teeth clean. Shout
I was
out.
just gonna say they cut their teeth against the juggernaut that is American University Screaming Eagles, whatever her name is.
Oh, they played AU?
Yeah, they're in the same conference.
That's awesome. Also, AU could make this.
Oh, absolutely. They have in the past. I think just like a few years ago. They
Oh,
won the
sick.
Patriot League
This is
tournament.
something achievable.
Something
Glad.
we could root for, something to aspire to.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. So Colgate, of course, Clemson's gonna beat Colgate. I like Arizona. I'm gonna move down here to Arizona, and obviously they're dominating Long Beach right now, so I think that's a safe pick at least for the next round. Um,
Hmm.
I like the Arizona story. I love this West Coast team, and I think they've been on the verge, similar to Gonzaga, but with less hype as
Yeah.
far as what dominant team they can be. So I have that. Of course, I have Nevada over Dayton. So that's my one time I didn't pick the Catholic school. I picked Nevada just because it's Sin City. So it's really how I started going. When you're going down the weeds here, you just got to start thinking.
Yeah. Because
I have not watched any of your games, but I know your locations. Purdue, of course, I have them just sort of stopped here, are going on to the Sweet 16, and then that's where I think Gonzaga is gonna get Purdue. Gonzaga over McNeese, I think it's an easy choice. TCU over Utah State, another easy choice for me. I think TCU just has more in the back. Big 12 is a more competitive conference. I think they'll be well prepared to do well. But I mean, Gonzaga, this is a tough pick because they go up against Kansas right after that first round. And that's immediately like a championship caliber team. Likely going, if they do that, likely going to play Purdue if things go as planned. Another crazy hard gamut to get to the final. I know you have Gonzaga on the Final Four too, but they have the hardest path. If they can make it down these, they might be the strongest team in the tournament.
Agreed. I actually have Gonzaga over Samford in the second round, which I've heard a lot of people have because Kansas star player is not playing in the tournament, dealing with a lot of injuries, and Kansas is pretty much operating at a level right now of like a 8 seed. So unfortunately for Kansas, injury bug has gotten them. So that might not mean that they lose to Samford. It might not mean that they lose to Gonzaga. I don't think McNeese is a pushover either in the first round for Gonzaga. So my bracket might be
Is this my bracket or your bracket?
good point.
Is this my bracket or your bracket?
You asked me to show me yours.
um, all right, moving on, Nicholas. We're going into, so I love Gonzaga. I think Gonzaga can go all the way like you do. I just love that team. I hope they actually, I'm wrong and they win it all. I want to see them win it all. I think that'd be huge for that team that's always on the verge. Like you said, the bridesmaid, but never the bride. I like that line, by the way. Creighton, that was a smart pick against Akron. I got Texas over Colorado State and St. Peter's over Tennessee. This is one of my sneaky picks. I like St. Peter's. I think
Whoa.
They did some damage before. I think they can do damage again. I don't know. I know you said Tennessee's got a star player, but sometimes star player doesn't mean a star team. So we'll see if I'm right about the upset. Texas, of course, over St. Peter's. That's where I think Texas will be good. But then Creighton over Texas to set up an Elite Eight that has two Catholic institutions going against each other, Gonzaga and Creighton, two Jesuit schools. That'd be pretty cool in the Elite Eight. Gonzaga, of course, going past Arizona. Arizona over Illinois. This is where I think Illinois, let me check on the score. Okay. Ugh. Ugh. I don't know if my bracket might be broken already. I think Arizona will definitely beat Illinois. And then Houston, I think, is the team of destiny. I think they're a true number one and from top to bottom. And I think they will win out for the championship pick.
Love it. You took some risks there too. You definitely know how to fill in a bracket.
It's hard to pick with, and you're looking at it, and after looking at yours, I'm like, did I take enough risks? It's like, it means like maybe I could have made more. So just about.
We'll see. Maybe your women's bracket takes more risks, although it's harder to pick upsets for me in the women's brackets. I feel like they happen fewer and farther between.
Yeah, I'm still at 100% right now, so we'll see. Talk to me.
We'll switch to the women's side.
Switch to the women's side.
Let's do it. All right. Let's talk about South Carolina, #1 overall, Regional 1. And I think their coach just interviewed earlier today saying the only thing that could beat them is themselves. So I don't see that happening out of this region. And I feel like the only team I feel really strongly about other than South Carolina is Oregon State. They had a great run last year. So ride that momentum. Notre Dame is hard to pick against, though, just obviously like a legendary women's basketball team, an ACC school. I can still change my mind, and we can change each other's mind on this. I'm realizing since these games haven't kicked off yet, so I
Yeah.
promise not to change any of my picks. No collusion here
Yeah, absolutely.
in our tournament
Keep it going.
bracket.
Keep it going.
Let's talk Regional 4. All the games played in Portland, by the way, which is exciting. Well, not that I live
The
there,
Rose
but
City.
that's right. Finally see a team that wins in that stadium. Anyway, Chattanooga. I love them. I love the chats. Um, not in this bracket. There's some injury news earlier today that we can break, and that's also going to make me slightly regret my Virginia Tech pick. That's in a different region. Stanford, really like Stanford to go to the Final Four, playing South Carolina. I'll just switch over to this bracket now because I've heard that star Virginia Tech player is out now for the tournament. So I really like them as like a sleeper Final Four team. I guess I'll stick to it because we're doing this live. So it's hard to pick over UConn. Can we see a UConn women's and UConn men's basketball championship
I think it's happened
both
before.
sides of the aisle this year?
I think it's
Did that
happened.
happen? Okay. It sounded like when I said it, it was something I said out loud, and I was like, wait, that's actually sound like it's happened before.
Mhm.
Maybe we'll see it again. I don't think so, though. And I'm saving the best for last for me here. Iowa taking it all the way. I like UNLV.
2004. Sorry to interrupt. 2004.
2004 when that happened.
Mhm.
No, thanks for that. UNLV. Oops, am I still sharing? Got to pick Portland. University of Portland. Is that a Jesuit school connection? Playing Colorado there.
Where?
LSU getting upset by Middle Tennessee State. Middle Tennessee, great basketball like program, great basketball school. Why not show them some love? That's what I thought. And yeah, Final Four, as you can see, South Carolina, Stanford, Iowa, Virginia Tech, a meetup of, just star power. I heard that the tickets for the women's Final Four are like 6 times more popular than the men's Final Four tickets this year. I think that's the Caitlin Clark effect, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to celebrate it. You got to celebrate it. It's just an electrifying, player who dominates a game. I'm thinking back of the Zion Williamson days. That also was an electrifying player that people just wanted to see. And so I think when you play dominant, people love it. And I just feel like that's my championship pick too, not to preview, but
Mm-hmm.
they're a team of destiny. Like I think Houston's the team.
Love it. Love it. Let's just kick it over to yours.
Yeah. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Here we go. Am I sharing my right screen?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. So it's hard for upsets to pick upsets in college women's basketball. I feel like the dominant teams are the dominant teams,
Mm-hmm.
besides the one splitting hairs. So of course I got South Carolina going all the way. Doesn't really matter what the other picks are, because South Carolina is the real deal type of team. I got it. I like Catholic universities. I got Marquette and Notre Dame going down here, but Notre Dame going all the way to the Elite Eight against South Carolina, but that's as far as they will go.
Mm-hmm.
Iowa, just same trajectory. I don't see them having too much competition up until this LSU game, which will be fire. I think that is absolutely going to happen. This will be a game we watch. But this one can go either way. Once we get there, I think this one can go either way. but I picked Iowa to win that game in the Elite Eight. And of course, going down here, I got Creighton going far, but I don't think they're going to beat LSU. I love my Catholic schools, but I think LSU is just too good of a Bayou Barbie. She's out there. She's getting ribbies. She's doing assist. She's doing the work that doesn't get always recognized for what it is, which is championship level basketball. So I am excited. I hope we get to see this. I think this on the top here in between these two regions. This would be a Final Four in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
Just these four teams right here. They're that good.
Yeah.
Going down here, I got Gonzaga going pretty far on the women's side, which would be pretty cool if we have that same sort of connection on the men's side, just going all the way through, cutting across. Texas, I think, is up there, but I think Gonzaga can pull it out. Tennessee, the Lady Tennessees. I think Stanford's going to stop. Stanford has some electric basketball players. I think some freshmen that we should all pay attention to who might be the heir apparent to publicity after Caitlin Clark. USC, number one team, beating all the other teams all the way up to Syracuse here. And of course, on the bottom, I got Syracuse going pretty far. The Cuse, really just for the color. But of course, USC is going to beat Syracuse. I think that's going to be the surprising team, if there is a surprising team, in my guesstimation. Gonzaga is not going to beat South Carolina, so it will be a South Carolina-Iowa final, or I should say championship. And of course, I have Iowa winning the whole kit and caboodle.
In a barn burner, 190 combined points.
Mm-hmm.
That would be amazing. That's an exciting
They
game.
can score points.
I know. I might have too few points is my tiebreaker.
All right. Formula 1, Nick.
Yeah.
Talk about Formula 1.
Let's talk Formula One race this weekend in Melbourne. Nobody's going to actually get to watch because it runs at like 2 a.m. Eastern time or something. I guess if you're on the West Coast, maybe you can spend your Saturday night, come back from the bars, or set an alarm at midnight so that you can start watching the Formula One race. No Ollie Behrman, sadly. Carlos Sainz is
Ollie.
Yeah. We're just building up the anticipation for when we can sing that full time.
Yeah.
I think he'll get a seat next year.
Mm-hmm.
We shall see. Nothing crazy exciting to report in the F1 world. It's looking like it's going to be another Red Bull sweep. This track is more like traditional style track. It's not a street circuit like Jeddah. Walls are pretty far off, although we did see some crazy stuff last year, lots of wrecks, teammates colliding with one another. So there's always room for some interesting things to happen. However, it's been a quiet week off in the racing side of things and F1. Obviously, there's always stuff going on in the political landscape of F1 that don't have time to get into, haven't read too much about. One big deal item just came in, maybe just as we were talking, is, oh no, this came in earlier this morning. Max Verstappen, he's in that Red Bull seat through 2028. So that's big time. There are talks about him maybe going to Mercedes, but nope. Verstappen equals Red Bull for at least 4 more years.
There's no stopping Verstappen. There's no stopping. I'll tell you who's going to win Australia. It's going to be Verstappen. I'll tell you who's going to win the next race. It's going to be Verstappen. Until I see more parity, I'm just going to continue thinking it's Verstappen. Something that was a pleasant surprise, a real exciting race, a lot of changes in the lead, real back and forth affair, was the last great Coliseum in Bristol, Tennessee, not Bristol, Connecticut, or Bristol, Kentucky, or Bristol, Ohio, but Bristol, Tennessee, the last great Coliseum, less than a mile tracks, a little tiny little thing that just kept zooming around, zooming around. But the tire situation, so it was a very serendipitous opportunity that allowed the tires. So because it's concrete, it's not pavement on the last great Coliseum road, the tires kept getting beat up. And so even the playing field, as far as parity is concerned, because it forced people to use their minds in thinking how to adjust with pit stops to get new pairs of tires. And so it was a constant back and forth with different lead changes. And I'm just going to toot my own horn, Nicholas. I called it Denny. Denny. I
Shit, talk your
said
shit.
I said Hamlin. I said Hamlin's going to win this race. He's going to punch his ticket to the playoffs early so that he can just focus on that success. He did it. He did what I said in a very like you didn't know if it was going to happen. And as he was leading, unlike in Phoenix, where Kyle Larson was leading the whole time, it just was a foregone conclusion. No one's going to catch up to him because there wasn't the tire issue, and he had the aerodynamics to block people out with the wind. Not the same case. Those last couple laps, you didn't know if Hamlin's tires were going to pop because that's what happened all throughout the race. So you didn't know if he's leading, but it's iffy whether or not he's gonna get the victory because his tires could pop at any moment. He sure enough, even as he did it the victory lap and skidded across, his tires were completely blown out after that. So they were literally probably moments away from being blown out. 2 more laps and he probably wouldn't have won the race. So I am loving this NASCAR season, and we had an exciting race this weekend in Austin. A very non-traditional race. It's not these little round rotundas. It's gonna be an actual legit racetrack. Formula One uses it. Thank you for sharing that, Nick. In Austin, the Circuit of the Americas. So it's a completely different style of racing. And that's what I love is immediately they have to adjust to different conditions. Sometimes it's a big bowl, sometimes the pavement's different. It's more road racing as opposed to cement. It's all these other variables that are constant throughout the NASCAR season that I think allow multiple people to really show their strengths in different style tracks. So but Bristol was a traditional track, so I called out a traditional race car driver to win that race. And sure enough, he used his mind. He played chess, like you saw the race car drivers playing chess as far as adjustments and pitting at the right moments. It was complete strategy, and I loved it. And so I'm excited for Circuit of the Americas. We'll see if the tire issue continues. At first, people were really upset, and that's what they were calling during the race, like, "Oh, what's going on? What's going on with the tires? They're having to switch." They even had to give all the race car drivers extra tires, like they had to make tires more than they were allotted traditionally, just to make up for how quickly they were burning out. So, but it created serendipitously an exciting race where you didn't know what the heck was going to happen. It's not like no stopping Verstappen. So someone's got to be stopping Verstappen. Okay, someone has to stop Verstappen. For me to be interested in Formula One, I'm realizing I need to see someone stop Verstappen. If he keeps winning races by like 20 seconds, it's honestly a snooze fest. And like, we're just watching a guy do laps, and then people trying to do laps afterwards. I don't know. I don't know what's the analogy there, but
Yeah,
um,
I will be sleeping for
yeah,
this race in
yeah.
Australia. I'll watch it maybe the next day. If Yeah, I kind of like want to spoil it for myself because maybe I'll just save my time and not watch another Verstappen 20-second win, you know? Um, but if I wake up and I see, ooh, something else, like you want to watch the races where something interesting happens. So maybe this is the week.
This is the week. This is the week.
Never
I
know.
don't know
Safety
who you gonna
cars.
pick. Who you pick? Make your pick. Formula One from the Make your
Oh,
pick.
yeah, I got Verstappen winning, Verstappen fastest lap, and second place going to Oscar Piastri, McLaren in his home race. Third place going to let's give Charles Leclerc third place. Really like he's been pretty consistent so far in this early season. But hope Carlos Sainz does well, finishes the race. That's really impressive to come back from just, getting appendix surgery 2 weeks ago to being in the cockpit of a vehicle going 200 to 300 kilometers per hour. It's insane. So
Yeah,
crazy. That's my pick.
I like it. I like that pick. Because what other pick are you gonna make? Um, so because on this parody theme, I'm not picking the same person who won any of the previous races to win this upcoming race in Austin. It's a completely different track, complete different skill set. For whatever reason, I'm thinking it's gonna be, and maybe it's because
Oh,
maybe it's because
Brandon.
I'm a
Branding.
I'm a 2 month official fan now of Trackhouse Racing. I'm picking not the number 90, what, not the number 99. Yeah, what? But the number one, Ross Chastain. He's got, there it goes. He's got
Feel like a Elite Corso there. I
he's
love it.
got Austin on the dock. I gotta get hats for every race car driver now. But Ross Chastain, read him and weep. Read him and weep. So couple races. I mean, he's finished top 10 in 3 of them, top 5 in 1 of them. So I think he's due. He's got a fast car, pretty consistent.
Love it. Yep. Get in touch with us on X if you want to pick. Otherwise, tell us why we're wrong. Maybe we shouldn't have started this episode off with like our brains haven't been working. Are people going to believe what we have got to say? They're going to be like, okay, now pick the exact opposite of what these two gentlemen have said.
Yeah, maybe they don't know what the heck they're talking about. I don't know. Yeah, we are not giving betting advice at all.
No, don't bet your house on this. Well, hey, in other news, not anything that you can bet or should bet, but the NIT National Invitational Tournament, more college basketball, more college hoops. Why not? It gave the chance for your team, UCF, and my team, Wake Forest, to continue playing some b-ball. Going kind of opposite directions here. UCF unfortunately lost in that first round.
Oof.
Wake continues on. They aren't really the main storyline here, though, because I think what is kind of overshadowed the tournament a little bit is the teams who are not playing in it, namely, I think Oklahoma, Pittsburgh, St. John's. Maybe there's another one there that I'm forgetting about. Denied their invitation. They RSVP'd no to the NIT tournament. So I was curious, my friend, what you thought about teams saying no to their NIT invitations.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Are you down with NIT? Yeah, you know me. I am not down with NIT. I think what people are scared about in college football is those other bowl games outside of the college football playoff to not be relevant. I just don't think that's the case. I think the fandom is pretty strong. But I think basketball its popularity hinges on March Madness. And there's already so many teams that get invited. It's really that if you like, it's not like, oh, there's only 12 teams. So here's this consolation tournament where you can still compete and win something. It's like how many teams are in the total of the bracket? 64?
68 teams in the March Madness.
Bro,
It's a lot of teams.
that's a lot of teams. There is no need for a consolation prize. If you're not one of the 68 teams that get to go to March Madness, like then your season has ended, right? Like, because I remember there was one year, and I think maybe that UCF did pretty good or maybe won it, but it's hard. I think more teams are just going to opt out. It's like it doesn't make any sense. Why? It's going to cost money, the travel, and for very little gain. Our fans are not going to travel. It's not like you're going to sell tickets because you made the NIT. Whereas people do sell tickets to certain locations for the bowl games just because of the locations of it. So, and maybe I'm disgruntled, because UCF lost against their rivals, the Bulls, USF Bulls, which, you know, for Floridians, we have to recognize that University of South Florida is not in South Florida.
Yeah, what I don't know if you can answer this, but it's in Tampa area, right? St.
My
Pete.
my best guess as to why, and I literally have it as I look at my diplomas, because my wife, she did her master's degree at the University of South Florida, right? On like instructional design. Shout out to instructional design field. It's a great field to get into. Make it happen. Make it happen. Make a good living.
Just
Good
don't
living.
take our jobs.
Make a good living in instructional design. 1956 is when University of South Florida was created. And technically it was the most southern Florida institution at that time. Very little foresight, though, thinking that you have a big metropolis in Miami already well established in the 50s, whereas FIU, the actual South Florida public university, which should be called University of South Florida, is like, I'm going off shot here, so it's cool. Like 1962 or 1965, maybe 1968. Either way, it was the 60s, so it was established later. And so I think,
Missed it by that much.
yeah, I honestly think it's just lack of foresight. You know, like, what do we call this university in Tampa? There's already a University of Tampa. And then UCF. Yeah, I am going off shot again. Yeah, 1963. So University of South Florida was the first university outside of the FSU, UF publics to be established. It was USF next. And then, so they could have been Central Florida. They could have taken the Central Florida name, but they decided, and for anyone who's been to Florida, Tampa is not South Florida. It's its own region.
It's crazy. That's a really interesting story.
Yeah.
Maybe FIU and USF can like play each other each year in football, and the winner gets to actually take the title USF.
Yeah, I like that.
Can trade the names.
So,
But
opt out, people. Opt out.
well, I think you should be able to do whatever the heck you want. Like these are not like tokens, right? These are actual like human beings, players who have school to think about and also like their future careers. So if it's not in the best interest of the players, and if it's like a player's decision, which it probably isn't, so maybe this is a moot point, but if they don't want to play, they don't want to incur that risk, don't make them play. However, I totally see benefit for a team like Wake Forest who totally crapped the bed, didn't make the NCAA tournaments, though they probably should have if they just played a little bit better. Like they need something for their recruiting to like hang their hats on at the end of the season. So they don't have to win the NIT, but they have to at least, I think, go pretty far. And that their coach, Steve Forbes, is really going to be pushing like not only for their pride as players, but also like next year they're going to be returning a lot of the same core players, and they want new recruits, and they don't make new recruits by being one of the first four out of the NCAA tournament. That just looks bad, especially the way that it happened, not playing as well as they could have at the end of the year. So I think the NIT could be a redemption sort of tournament for those teams that missed out and actually do something for their recruiting, but only if the players want to do it. Like I'm not in the group of people who are like, you can never opt out of things. Like these are human beings. They have agency. They're not just pawns for their schools. At least I hope that others feel that way too.
Yeah. I mean, one of 68, you don't make it. I disagree. Just get rid of it. Get rid of it. But I think in a world of sports betting, even though there's no fans in the stadium, there'll be people who want to bet on it. So
that's true.
You know,
Yeah, good point. Good point.
All right. So the food scene in the races that we got going on, starting off with Austin. I'm going to start with something controversial instead of looking, because Austin obviously has a tremendous food scene, a lot of wonderful food trucks, just a wonderful barbecue culture. One of the most famous places being Franklin's, right? Barbecue in Austin. I'm just going to go ahead and say it as someone who's never tried Franklin's barbecue. So I have absolutely no credibility in this statement. Overrated.
Well, really talking our shit
I
today.
just
Love it.
know it's going to be like I've had enough barbecue in my life where I realize I'm like I can't anymore. Like unless I'm making the cue, like it's something I'm making and I'm controlling, I can't. It's all overrated.
It could be, it's so regional too, right? It could not end up being your particular style. You
Mhm.
can still think that it's really good, but maybe you like I don't know, a Carolina style with a little like vinegar-based sauce or a mustard-based sauce. Um, and then nothing that you'll get is going to be like your thing. So
Mhm.
again, it's like the Dave Portnoy like we talked about a couple weeks ago, Phoenix. The Pizzeria Bianca wasn't his style, so therefore he didn't give it a high rating. That's like Franklin's barbecue for you. Like if you did barbecue reviews, you
Yeah.
would go probably give it like a 7.3 out of 10.
So that's my hot take. Austin, I'm sure it's got a great food scene. Good for Austin. Good for Austin.
And
Um,
Austin, a great food
that
scene.
was it. That's all I had for Austin. I
Thank
just
you.
don't want to be controversial and talk about that.
Love it. Hot takes.
Mhm.
Hot takes are 100% celebrated here. I had a little so Melbourne, Melbourne, however you want to call it, does have some interesting foods to offer. I'll just show you the top 10 list of foods that you must try in Melbourne, according to the hotels.com, basically the go-to source for food, right?
Salt and
That
pepper.
was
Salt
that
and
was
pepper here.
salt and pepper calamari would definitely eat. What about you? Would you eat?
Yeah, I love calamari.
Oh, calamari too. Fairy bread. It is uh, sliced
No,
white bread with butter and then covered in sprinkles.
no.
It's a no for me too. That is cursed. That image is cursed. Like,
Oof. I don't,
yeah, that
bro,
doesn't look like the most flattering
bro.
image.
Mr. Italian himself. What do you think about that chicken parm? And on fries?
Okay, this is chicken parma, and they put hammer prosciutto on the top of it, which I'm not against. It's just
Yeah.
what were we trying to make something different here? Or are we trying to make chicken parmesan and just like
Sure.
missing the mark? Which I think this is pub food, so it looks like it was supposed to probably be chicken parm.
That looks like something you get at a banquet, bro.
Yeah, it does. It does. Maybe this isn't the best picture to have chosen for it.
Yeah.
Would I still eat it? Yes.
Hey, I just realized shout out to AU on your tabs there. He's got all the shortcuts to American University.
Yeah. Also, if I go to a new tab, meow, ciao, McLaren car.
Lightning
Hopefully,
McQueen, Lightning McQueen himself.
hopefully you like all of my shortcuts. Anzac biscuits, not to be mistaken with Prozac biscuits.
Traveling sailors and soldiers for simplicity and hardiness.
Yeah,
Nope, that's a pass.
won't
I
eat
mean,
it.
I'll try it.
Yeah,
I'll pay for it.
like a granola bar.
Yeah. Dim
Dim
sum.
sum.
Oh, is it dim sum? Even if with dim sum.
Dim sum. Oh, it is dim sum.
Yeah,
I read that automatically was like dim sum.
dim sum.
Dim sum is a Melbourne Chinatown convention, and of course I would eat it. I love dumplings. Pigs in a blanket. Oh, those just look so good. This was my controversial like number one Super Bowl food pick. Love some.
I guess they don't look so good. They look very
No.
plain. You still got to dip it in some sort of sauce. They're either too hot when you eat them or they get too cold too fast. Never at the perfect temperature. It's not that I've well experienced in eating the pigs in a blanket. Maybe I haven't had the best ones, but no, it doesn't. I give me a traditional hot dog with relish, sauerkraut, mustard, ketchup.
Give me that too. It's maybe what I have for dinner
Yeah,
later.
ugh, they're Italian food on this list.
Bag bowl.
Man,
No, no, it's not a modern take. That's
that is
let's
ketchup.
be honest. That's ketchup. That's canned tomato sauce and some ground beef. It's not spaghetti bolognese, which is a
I know.
complex.
I made
It's,
a
Mhm.
Sunday gravy just yesterday. I did the San Marzano tomatoes and boiled them up with onions, garlic, um, and then I used American Wagyu ground beef for the sauce, or for the meat in the sauce.
Thank you for calling it gravy. You could have put like your shoe in it. As long as you called it gravy, it was
Yeah.
fire for me.
Well,
I
because
love
that's the thing. It's like here I am judging the crap out of us. Our Italian culture is better here than it is clearly over there because I feel like the amount of smack talk we would hear from our fellow Italian Americans if we showed them a picture of this meal. Like it's just too bright. It's too bright. I poured a little wine. I poured a little red wine in it.
Yep.
In my like it's too bright. There's too much brightness, you know?
Yeah, when you cook the tomatoes down, they should become more flavorful, but also a darker color, more caramelization, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just to
Yeah.
nerd out on this a little bit. And also, you toss your pasta in your sauce, right? You don't just ladle your sauce over top. Be
I,
honest.
I only do that. I only do that because I have a daughter, a young daughter.
Oh, okay.
Always like the sauce, so I have to keep the sauce
That's
on the
true.
side. And so if she wants more, I keep it separate so that she could
Okay.
still get more pasta without getting it all sauced up. But hopefully that changes because my preference, especially with the you add a little pasta water to bring it all
Mhm.
together, is to mix it all together. Especially then you leave it in the fridge and you eat leftover whatever things, man. Freaking pasta and sauce the next day or the next couple of days is always better than when you eat it fresh.
I agree. I'm with you. Gets that little time to meld together the flavors. Hmm. Have you ever had Vegemite?
No. No, and yeah, yes, I had a bite. I didn't like it.
It's like a savory, right? Or is it?
It's a little, yeah, it's a little, from what I remember, it's a little bitter,
Hmm.
but it
Yeah,
is
it's gonna
savory.
be no for
It's
me.
not a sweet thing, but there is a little bitterness. He's slightly bitter and malt. So the malt beverages, I don't know if you ever had a Malta. Um, it's like essentially a spreadable version of that soda pop that I used to drink, being Hispanic, Malta. So,
Huh.
but it is that bitter taste that I don't understand. So, and then the consistency is reminds me of the resin at the end of little weed bowls that people smoke.
Yeah.
Like someone were to collect all the little resins on the little weed bowls and then put it into a jar for people to spread it on their bread.
Maybe that is how it's made. How do you know? How do you know it's not? Um, I would try it. I'd have to try it once.
Oof, kangaroo. They sell that? This is good. You're doing good. You're doing better. I just had a hot take on Austin. You're actually showing stuff.
No, I mean, would I try
90,
it? Of
98% fat
course.
free is probably pretty healthy meat.
Would I like it because it's so low in fat? I probably wouldn't like it. I probably wouldn't. I mean, I would make this into a sausage. I would grind this and like actually add some fat from some other tasty animal
Mm,
and make it worth just eating this. That ain't me. But I don't know. Maybe you
that
feel
ain't me. That ain't
maybe
me. Sorry.
sing it. If you're gonna sing it, sing it. No.
Go, go, go. All right.
Last one. I just can't look at this image. Oh,
Oof. Man, I simultaneously love that you have this, but this cannot be the best. You know, this cannot be the display. Like someone's having fun with this. That looks awful.
no,
Like,
like think about like hotels.com. Your purpose is to sell people to visit Australia, and then you hit them with a turd. You know, it looks like no, sorry, I'm making this too gross. It looks like vomit though,
scroll up,
right?
scroll up, scroll up.
You're
Oh,
done. Okay. It's
yeah,
making
yeah,
you
that's
ill
the
looking at it.
kangaroo.
I don't even know what that is. It's a no for me. It's a no for me though.
That's nuts, man. That's nuts. So anyway, go to Australia if you want subpar Italian food.
Yeah, I'm sure all the drivers this weekend have like private chefs. They're like, I need, hopefully they're paying them well. Not, I mean, some of the stuff we agreed, like we would definitely try, but
Yeah.
wouldn't be our top choice.
All right. Well, that's it. That's it, right, Nick? That's it for the day.
That's a sewed.
A lot of basketball.
Everyone. Yep. I'll be watching basketball for the next 10 to 20 hours, days, weeks.
I'll be at Disney World.
Enjoy that. Oh, hope you get some great weather. Hope everybody at home, wherever you are, is enjoying their day. Has a great weekend.
Great weekend. Cheers. Enjoy.
Cheers, everyone.